Hello, welcome to this bonus episode of Calm AF. So, if you haven't listened to episode 329, which was part one of Susan's story, her Calm AF journey, make sure you listen to that. But I have heard from so many people how much they love this episode. You guys love hearing from my clients, and I love bringing that to you. So, I am going to do this more. I'm going to bring people on so you can hear what it actually sounds like when someone's just showing up and doing the work, that it truly isn't some big, overwhelming project that you have to devote all of your time to. It's the opposite of that. If you want to feel happier, if you want to feel calmer, if you want to feel more joy, more connection, more present in your life, it's not going to be from having a curriculum or a 10-step plan or any of those things. So I think it's good for you to hear not just me saying this, but from people who have actually gone through it so that maybe, just maybe, you will try a little less, work a little softer. But the reason why I decided to do this bonus episode was because one of the things that seems to have jumped out of your earbuds and have you reaching out to me from that episode was my coaching question, my favorite coaching question that Susan mentioned, which is, so what? So what? It is my favorite. It is one of the best ways that I have found to kind of shock someone out of their spin. This just recently happened in one of my Calm AF calls. And this woman was telling me this very, very complicated situation that was going on with her husband's family. Now, you know this family dynamic, I'm sure of it, where everyone is like emotionally fragile and somehow you have been designated the shit holder. Even before she married into the family, she was cast early on as the keeper of the peace, because she was so good with everyone's personalities, which, if we are being honest, is family speak for awesome. We found someone else who can do the hard work so we don't have to grow the fuck up. We can just be emotionally immature and someone else is going to sweep up the mess for us. So she got cast as the keeper of the peace early on. And of course she said yes, because she was really good at it. She had been the keeper of the peace for her own family and for her friend groups and all of it. She learned not only how to do it, but how to be good at it, at holding all of the shit. And I know that you listening right now, you see the problem because either you are currently living as the keeper of the peace or you have recently held the role of keeper of the peace. So you know how she's feeling. She was exhausted and really freaking resentful. She was running in circles and working so hard for all these fully grown-ass human beings. And they just couldn't be bothered to learn any of these tools, to learn how to regulate their own nervous system, manage their own feelings without her running interference. So she was explaining this whole dynamic to me like they were facts. And I could feel how trapped she felt in it because she really believed that this was a very complicated dynamic. Because not only had she been doing it for a long time, but these people, this family, loved her for this role. This is what they loved about her. I don't know how you do it, is something that she heard constantly, while they were absolutely refusing to learn how to do it themselves. And this woman, this client, had convinced herself it was easy, but now she wanted out. She was like, I can't do this anymore. I actually want to live my own life, but I don't have time because I'm the keeper of the peace. That role is taking up too much time. So, and I just kept kind of putting it back at her and showing her like the only solution here for you to get yourself out of this role of keeper of the peace is to stop. You have to stop being the one who prevents the conflict, and stop being the one who jumps in during the conflict, and stop smoothing things over after the conflict. And I just kept coming back to this, and she was like, I know, I see this is the only way. But it's going to be so hard for me to stop. It'll be hard for them because they don't have any coping skills, but it's maybe even going to be harder for me not to fix it when I know exactly how. I could fix this in 2 seconds. That's going to be hard. And so I said to her, like, so what? And she stared at me, and I stared back, and she stared at me, and I stared back. And she was like, what do you mean, so what? What? And I was like, so what if it's hard? So what if you feel bad, or you feel guilty, or you feel uncomfortable when they are like killing each other, and you are like, I could stop this, but I'm not going to. So what if you feel bad about that? You feel like that now. You feel bad. You feel uncomfortable. It feels exhausting. You feel that now. At least when you stop, you can feel uncomfortable and break this pattern. And she was like, well, true. She really thought this was a complicated, delicate situation that required all of these moving parts and backup plans. But it didn't need any of that because this is not a complicated problem. So what if people are upset? You're going to feel uncomfortable, so what? You already know how to feel uncomfortable. You're feeling it right now. This is just an uncomfortable with some sort of payout at the end. Maybe you can actually feel free instead of exhausted, or you can actually feel connected instead of resentful. So what? And I don't ask that because the uncomfortableness isn't real, that aspect of growth, of doing something new. I'm not saying it's not scary, but scary and complicated are 2 completely different things. Scary is, I'm scared, what if they get mad at me? Okay, that might feel scary. That's not something you're used to. But complicated is, I need a 12-step strategy. I need contingency plans for every possible reaction, and I can't do anything until I have thought about every single one of those possible reactions from every single person who may be involved now or in the future. That's complicated, right? One is a feeling that you don't like. Scary is a feeling you don't like to feel. Uncomfortable is a feeling you don't like to feel. Complicated is making shit harder than it needs to be. You can feel scared and still do the simple thing. You don't need to solve for every possible outcome. You don't need to be an energy manager, managing everyone's feelings and moods. You don't need a doctorate in family dynamics to just stop being the keeper of the peace. You just need to stop. That's very simple. Is it scary? Yeah, maybe. Is it complicated to stop? Absolutely not. And again, so what if it's scary? You're going to feel scared either way. You might as well feel scared while you are free. You can handle it. And Susan talked about this. One of her favorite coaching questions was, so what? Susan went from being the designated energy manager to, well, what she is now. You need to listen to hear it for yourself. But basically, she stopped. She just stopped doing it. She stopped making it complicated, and she just felt the feelings and stopped. And what I know after watching hundreds of women over the years do this work is that all of the complicated feeling of it is coming from you. You don't need to find more tools or read more books or learn better boundary techniques. Sometimes, as you are learning the difference between doing something scary and it not being complicated, you need someone to look you dead in the eye and say, so what? This is not complicated. And this is the kind of calibration that we do inside Calm AF, inside of the Calm AF year. It's not therapy. It's not coaching. It's not a, 10-step plan with backup plans. It's just a place, an experience, a person, a community that is designed to help you remember what's actually real and what's just made up shit that you have been complicating. So if you are relating to this story, Susan's story, being the keeper of the peace, make sure that you get on the Calm AF year interest list. Because honestly, the people who love you for who you are will figure out how to handle their own feelings when you stop doing it for them. They might not like it, but so what? So what? They'll either get over it because they love you and they don't want you to have to feel miserable in your whole life just so they don't have to. Or they'll be like, nope, I don't want you. If you're not going to do this, I don't want you. And what I always tell people, if that's the outcome, then it's just good information to know. Because now you can see that it will never end. You will always be the keeper of the peace, the holder of the bags of shit, because that's what they want you there for. And then you just get to make a decision from that place of seeing what's actually real. It's so eye-opening when you see the difference between how you complicate things up in your head versus when you actually just can look at something and say, so what? Is this actually complicated or am I just a little uncomfortable or scared? Big difference. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Make sure you're in the Calm AF interest list. I'll talk to you soon.